Hey guys, welcome back to another video in C programming course. Myself, I'm Anand Simon Har and I'm a campus here co-founder. So without any further delay, let's move on to today's agenda. So in our today's class, we're going to discuss about basically strings. So we talk about the strings and built-in functions in strings. So let's move on to the code blocks. So and then explore more about strings and then all those things we're going to discuss in code blocks. So here I'm going to create a new project. Here I'm going to click on new console application, and then I'm going to choose a C language as my primary language, and then I'm going to type the project name as strings. Yeah, so I'm going to click on the plus icon and then main.c here. So yeah, so now let's discuss about the string. So what is mean by strings and all the things we're going to discuss here. So now, so strings are basically it's nothing but characters of array. So there is no built-in data type for strings in C language. So we have to use a character array. So we already discussed about the characters and integers, all those things we already discussed, and even the arrays also we already discussed. It's the same thing we're going to discuss here as well. The character arrays we're going to discuss here. So character arrays is nothing but a strings. But there is a there is one more thing we're going to do is there is a difference in string is there's a, let me write it and show you like what's the difference here, and then I'll show some example with some box and all this in the Greek for Geeks website. So let me actually, yeah, let's start with some example here. So as I said, it's a character array, right? So yeah, so this is like the character data type, and then so this is the array that we have declared here. So array of, for example, array size is 10 here, and then we're going to mention this is this, or else I'm going to mention like my name, Sai here. So I'm going to mention in this way. So ignore about the array size. We can give like I'm just or else I'll just give like 4. Yeah. So here you should understand one thing here. Even if you don't actually here don't mention any size here also, it automatically going to declare the specific size for that particular string. What are we actually mentioning inside an array? So based upon the size of on the content, what are we are doing within a double quotes or within double quotes. So based upon that, it automatically going to take, like the compiler itself assign some. Array size automatically going to happen in the background. So that's what actually happened here. So here we have a 3 characters. That is nothing but size. It's a word, so it's a string. So that's what when it comes to string, we have to use it within a double quotes. When it comes to character, we're going to use in a single quotes, right? That's what we actually discussed in our previous class. Like for example, letter. Yeah, so when it comes to a character, we're going to use in a single quotes for only for specifying only one particular letter or one particular character. So we're going to use in a single quotes. But when it comes to if you want to store in some sentence or a word or anything, when we done anyway, at the time we're going to use in this thing kind of strings here. So this is what actually going to happen when we actually want to use it. So this is what actually do. This is what the syntax is looks like. So let me explore. As I said, let me explore more on it. So let me open my Chrome and then I'm going to type strings in C. So let me open the Greek for Greek site. So that's going to be better. Yeah. So this is what actually I want to show you here. So yeah. So string CC. So here. In this particular thing, so this is like this. For example, here I actually mentioned the psi here instead of Greeks here. So as I said, this is an array. So array always starts from the index 0 and things, and then we have an address here. So even if I didn't explore about address in our previous class, it's nothing but each characters like we going to have some. So I can see, for example, here. Greeks, we have a Greek, so we have stored, for example, if we in this inside particular array, here actually in this particular code blocks, I have mentioned Sai instead of Sai. they have mentioned the Greeks, right? So, for example, let me go with the Greeks only, so that you're going to understand. So, whenever I just mention, whenever we mention some character array as a Greek or whatever the name, whatever we have it, so we have mentioned here the Greeks as Greeks here. So, is in like how it actually work in the background is it is stored inside an array. So it is stored inside an array because there is no data type for a string, so it's a character array, right? So this is what every on each and every element it's going to store one character. So the one letter Z, E, E, K, S. So each and every letter going to store inside an array, and always array index start from 0 to 5, and so based upon the characters, like it's going to store that much of amount of value it's going to store, value it's going to take. So here this array name here, even here we have mentioned the same array name, so that's what actually array name, and then 0. So this is what you have to understand here. So when it comes to a string, always at end of this string, when it actually happen, is everything going to happen in the background. So actually this backward slash 0 is nothing but a null character. We are actually not mentioning here inside our things. We are not actually mentioning here the backward slash 0. It's nothing but a character, null character. We're actually not mentioning it, but internally it's going to happen. This is what going to store inside an array. So whenever we store some string values, we also have to give some size. For example, here, for example, if you actually want to mention size by yourself, like here we just left it as a like the size, like we not mention any array size. But when you want to mention like it actually going to count this particular null character size as well as an array. So we have to mention this null character also going to be considered in this particular array. So that's what actually happening here inside the null character. So null character indicates as the end of this string. So each strings the null character going to have there. It's going to everything going to happen in a internally and backgroundly. So that's what actually happened here. So null character, and then as we said, there is an index here from 0 to 5, and then we have an address here, and each element we have an address. So that's what I actually mentioning here. On each element we have an address. So basically, an address is nothing but how we actually uh, I already mentioned in the previous classes, but also I want to mention here as well. So in each, basically this character going to be stored inside. Memory has a lot of space, right? So we have to specify some address on memory, where we actually storing this particular G character inside this particular address in our memory. So this is everything going to happen inside backgroundly. So that's what actually happened. So it's not about same words. Based upon the system, going to varies the address. It's going to say take some address, and then going to be going to happen in this word. This is what actually what they have mentioned in this Greek for Greek website. So it's based upon the laptop or based upon the system. It's going to actually differ the memory address. So that's what actually happened. This is nothing but memory address. So when we actually trigger this particular memory address from, we're going to get the data from that particular memory address. So that's what we actually have to store everything inside some memory data. So that's what actually happening here. So this is what it actually looks like. So that's what we actually mentioned here. So let's actually explore some more concepts in or else I mean some other things like how we actually look into it and all those things. Let's explore all those things. Let's remove it, and then I will mention Sai only. I only, and I'm going to delete this thing print follow hold. So yeah, I'll also remove this. Yeah, I'm going to do in this way. So now here, what I'm going to do is um, I'm going to uh, I'm going to add one user defined function that is length of string. Mm, and I'm going to take input as character string, character array, and then so and this particular thing is going to count the length of the particular string. So we're going to count this particular length of the string. So that's what I actually want to do here. Mm, let's I equal to 0. I mean, we're actually declaring that, and then declaring I, and then we're going to use a for loop here, and then string of I. So, and this one actually, when we actually talk about our for loops, we already discussed how it actually works and everything. So, if you haven't checked the video, please do check the video and then come back here, so that you're going to get some more clarity. So, I don't want to repeat it again and again. So, yeah. So, this is what actually the for loop going to move throughout this particular string. So whatever we have a string, so it's going to move all the characters. So as I said, so everything going to store inside an array. So it going to this for loop going to count, going to move towards this particular array. So start from the zero index to, and then the end of the string. So that's what actually happens here. So this is what actually happens here, and then finally the printf function here, um, and then we're going to do this. Then this percentage d here, and then backward slash n, and I'm going to mention this I here. So I is nothing but so when we actually start from a zero to, we're going to move towards this particular. So wherever whenever this particular so we're going to mention like string of I is not equals to um, null character. So as I said, so whenever this null character indicates the end of the string, as we discussed already in the beginning of the this video. So as we discuss, each strings having like this particular character, null character at the end of the string. So this is what we have, the null character. So when the null character triggers, so this is going to end this particular loop. So we're actually not doing anything inside this particular loop. We're just yes, we just moving all the eyes. We are not doing, so it's not mandatory to do something inside a for loop. We don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything, so I'm not doing it. I just want to move the eye. So for example, when we actually move here, so here for example I start from zero, so I here starts, just observe my mouse here. So I, for example, I starts here from zero. So I starts from zero here, and then I moves here 1 and 2 3 4 5. So when the character null character triggers, it means here in this case, this Greek case, this array size is 5. But when it comes to here, we're going to get an array of 4, because we have already 3 characters, and then the final one is 4. So when it comes to fourth one, we're going to stop this particular I. So at the time we're going to print it out. So that's what actually happens here. So let's call this particular function here, and then let's see what actually happens here. So let's print it out, and then let's see what actually happens here. So let me compile it, and then so yeah, so we got the output as length is 3. So because actually we are not counting this particular thing, we are actually mentioning is not equal to. So if it is equal to, then when it's not actually, I is not going to move that particular last index. So that's what actually happening here, because we have mentioned not equal to null character. So it means not going to move that particular thing, right? So that's what I'm actually doing here. So it's not going to move this particular I. Before that only it's going to check it. This particular thing is going to checking. Once if it is false, then it's not even moving there. It just stay here itself on this particular thing. That's what we're actually getting here. Because if we get this particular null character as well, then it's not a valid thing, right? We don't want to count that particular null character as well. So that's what actually we're not doing it. So this is what we are actually printing this length of the character, length of the string. Even we have a built-in functions to find out length of the string and all those things. but I just want to show you how we actually operate the strings and all, because you guys also have to understand how it actually happens backgroundly. So that's what actually have built this particular thing. So how we actually count this length of the string, but usually we can also use this particular built-in function that we have, how to find out the length of the string. And so next, let's see one more function that is changing the cases. So in the case, so changing the case in nothing but if it is a capital letter, then we're going to make it as small letter. So it means I'm going to make my name as all in the capital letters. So I'm going to change it in this way. So if it is in the capital, so every all of the capital letters, so I'm going to make it as in small letter. So that's what actually I'm going to do here. Let's actually explore all this character array. So as I said, we have a character array. So inside a character array, so here I'm going to mention the integer int I, and then again the for loop. So we have a for loop I equal to 0, and then string of I is not equal to null character, and then I plus plus. So that's what actually doing here, and then next, we going to make this particular array string of and then now I'm going to replace all the characters. Means for this is an array, so this particular array going to store inside like this capital Sai. So all the letters are in the capital letters, so everything going to store inside it. So now I'm going to replace, and then I'm going to make it as a small letters. Oh, before going to do here, yeah, before actually moving to further, I would like to first of all tell you one thing here, because whether you guys already familiar with or not, so I don't want to again confuse with which you guys already not familiar with. So I just want to give some brief introduction about it as well. So yeah, so when it comes to computer, so computer doesn't understand the language what we speak, English or any other languages in English or anything. So what computer generation is like is a zeros and ones as a binary values. So here what actually happens here, what are we actually these particular characters that we actually passing the string and characters, all those things that we are actually doing here, right? So computer actually when it comes to computer, it actually store inside in a backgroundly. What actually happens is it actually converts each and every character into a ASCII code. So, what is mean by ASCII codes? Let's explore about ASCII codes. Because, like as I said, computer doesn't support the values. So here, that's what actually happens here. Um, ASCII values. So let's explore the ASCII values here. So this is what ASCII tables. So ASCII is nothing but American Standard Code for Information and Interchange. So this is what um, full form for the ASCII. So let's actually explore about ASCII table here. So as I said, computer only stores in binary values. So here and each and every character we have like this ASCII code that is 66. For example, here for the capital A's from the beginning of the character A, what are we have inside our keyboard? Every keyboard key has some ASCII code. So like this, for example, the space bar we have like 32, and at the end we have 64. Here, for example, so these are the things that we actually basically will use in our everyday life, right? Isn't it? On our keyboard, what are we actually seeing on our keyboard? Those are the things that we have it here. All the things have we have it as key code. So whenever we enter something on our keyboard, it's going to convert inside. Everything going to happen in backgroundly. So everything going to be convert inside in a ASCII code. So each and every character has some ASCII code. So it's going to convert into the ASCII code. This ASCII code going to trigger. So and this particular thing going to trigger, and then and those things going to happen. And this ASCII code is nothing but the decimal numbers. So and then again the decimal value is going to convert into binary values. So that's what actually happens. So yeah, this is what actually happens in the back internally in our computer. So yeah, so if, for example, here the we actually use these particular things, right? The capital A, capital B, all those things from 65 to 90 are the capital letters, and here the small letters 97 to and 122. So these are nothing but small letters of alphabets, and these are the capital letters. So this is what actually happens here, right? Isn't it? So now I hope you got some clarity about ASCII table and ASCII codes and all those things. So now let's move on to the code blocks again. So here, inside our code blocks, each and every character, whatever we have inside our what are we actually storing inside here. So everything going to convert backgroundly into an ASCII code, as we saw right now. So let actually show you one more thing here, like as I shown you this ASCII code and all those things. So for example, letter equal to it's a single quotations, single quotes. Inside it, I'm going to mention capital S. So I'm going to mention a capital S and not a small S. I'm going to mention capital S. So what I'm going to do is inside it, I'm going to basically this is the character. So I have to mention C, right? So I'm not going to print it as it is the character. I'm going to convert it into the decimal form. I mean the number form. So I'm going to print it as a number. So that's what actually I'm integer type. So I'm just mentioning as a percentage t. So let's see what going to happen for the output, and then let's see. So as I said, so now we got the output as 83. So it's in a capital S. So let's explore here. So yeah, yeah. So the capital S and then 83. So as I said, so everything going to convert into an ASCII code. So as per this ASCII code, if all the keyboards has all the keyboard keys has some ASCII code. So that's what actually going to convert internally. So for this capital S, we have 83. So that's what actually happened backgroundly. So here, when it comes to capital S, it's going to convert into, and then when we actually print it out here, the percentage D. So this particular thing going to convert into internally, and then we going to print it as percentage D. And when you actually printing it out, you're going to printing it as an number, because we actually using this particular thing. When I change it into C, now I'll get the character. Now I'll get the character. So that's what we actually got it here. So this is what actually happens here. This is what actually happens here. That's what actually I'm talking. This is what actually happens internally. So let's move on to uh, our previous discussion. This is changing cases. So let's actually continue with this particular code. Yeah. So in this particular changing cases, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to not creating one more array. So that's going to be very hectic. I'm not going to create one more array. Here itself, I'm going to just replace that particular element by this particular thing. So here we have a capital letters. I'm going to make it as a small letters. So that's what actually I'm doing here. So here, for example, the capital S, isn't it? So we have a capital S. So, for example, here this is what the capital S. When it comes to small s, so this was the small s. So now let's calculate the difference between 83 and uh, and 115. So what is the difference between 83 and 152? 115 is nothing but 32. So there is a difference between the capital S and small s, isn't it? So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 32 plus 32. So each and every time I'm going to add this particular. So all the things, I mean, so all, if you can see the A, for A also we have a 32. The difference between the capital A and small a is 32, and even the H also H 72 and 104. So all the characters we have a difference between the 32, right? So I'm just taking this particular thing as a common for things. So I'm just adding each and every character to 34, 32. So that's what actually I'm doing here. So I'm going to add each and every character plus 32. So when now I'm going to printing it out percentage s. So when it comes to string, we have to use this percentage s. When it comes to character, we have to use this particular format specifier as percentage c. So here we're going to mention the percentage s, and then backward slash n, and then the string. So let's actually print it out. So here we got some error because here we have missed this particular semicolon here. So let's add the semicolon here and then let's run it. So yeah, so we got output as the length is 3. So as we before we already discussed the length of string, and then changing the case, this is all the capital letters, and then we actually changing it as small letters. So that's what I actually got it in output. So that's what actually happened in an output. So as I said, for changing cases and the length of this string, for all the things we have some built-in functions as well. So that also we going to explore it. So don't need to worry. But I actually want to Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and the continuation part for this video you can find it in the coming video. So yeah, so thank you for watching. If you like my work, please do like, share, and subscribe to Go Focus. Yeah.